Guys, I'm so excited. I hope you're tuned in right now. We're going to be joined by a very special guest who I know you've been waiting for. I know that a lot of you have been really excited to see her. Welcome to our series, our session on Follow the Reader. Our very special guest today is Gabrielle Bernstein, or Gabby Bernstein, and she's the New York Times best-selling author of Why the Universe Has Your Back. And this is a copy of a book which is available for pre-order right now. It's available from the 27th. And Gabby, it's great to have you here. Thank you so much for being here. Gabby, for those of them who don't know you, I'd just like you to introduce yourself.
Yeah, well, hi, I'm Gabby. Good to see you all. I am a motivational speaker and a self-help book author. This is my 5th book, The Universe Has Your Back. And my work is really just about helping people shift their perceptions about their experiences. And when you change the way you experience your experiences, your life begins to unfold differently. And that's really the root of all of the books that I write and the talks that I give. But this book in particular, I think, is kind of taking it to another level, like a whole next level book, and really just giving us this experience of finding more certainty and safety and security, particularly given the times that we're living in.
Absolutely amazing. So I actually loved the title. When I saw the title, The Universe Has Your Back.
Yeah.
I was just like, when did you realize that? Like, when was it that penny dropped for you?
That's a good question. So I think I was probably the moment that I really knew that the universe had my back was when I was 25 years old and I had a real quarter life crisis and I hit a big bottom. And I was struggling at the time with a lot of addictive patterns, drug addiction, work addiction, love addiction, and I hit my knees. I was like, this is it. But in that decision to change my patterns and sort of resurrect my life, I felt this swell of support and energy and just invisible doors opening. And that shift and that commitment to see things with more love and see things with recovery just catapulted my life in a whole other direction. So that was when I really knew. And then it's been 11 years now on this path of really strengthening that faith.
Gabby, I was reading through the book, and you say my commitment with this book is to wake up as many people as possible.
Yeah.
Right, to their connection to their faith and joy. Now, when you say that to me, it makes me sound like we're all sleeping.
Yeah, we are.
Yeah, so tell me about
That's actually
that.
like extraordinarily profound what you just said.
Yeah.
What you just said, whether you realize it or not, is actually like high-level metaphysics. I'm here with a serious metaphysician, thank you. It really is that. From a spiritual perspective, we are asleep. We are asleep, and we're in this dream world, and it's a dream of fear and separation and attack and judgment and littleness and doubt and not good enough and the division that we're seeing. And that dream gets worse and worse every day. I mean, look at this election. So this is a nightmare, right? And so what do we do when we embark on a spiritual path is that we start to change the dream. We lean into what we call a happy dream. And we can still we can still be in the world and have the experience of the world, but think with the thoughts of heaven, think with higher level thoughts, have an experience that's elevated. And that's a choice that we make. That's the world you see is a expression of your internal movie screen. And there's actually a chapter in the book that says you are the dreamer of your dream.
Yeah, and I was going to ask you about that. I wanted you to share that movie analogy with everyone.
Oh, yeah.
The director, etc.
That's a good one. I like that you read the book. Thank you. Not everybody does. Thank you. Okay, so the director analogy. This is from a great spiritual teacher of mine named Gary Renard tells this story about how it's almost like we're all in this movie and we're sitting in the movie screen and we're watching this scary scene that's going to occur, and maybe someone's going to get killed or something's going to happen if they turn the corner, and we're screaming and we're throwing our popcorn at the screen and we're like, don't do it, don't turn the corner. And the metaphor is that this is the experience of our life, right? That we're like, no, don't do it again, right? And the simplicity is that all we have to do is walk behind that projector and change the reel. And when we change that reel, we can have a different experience of our life. So we don't have to live in that fear of, oh my God, I can't believe I did it again. We can change the reel. Absolutely
amazing. So guys, we're talking about how when you're asleep, you can wake up, but when you're awake, can you wake up more? That's the question that we're asking Gabby here today. Chani says, hello Gabby, how can I wake up from this terrible nightmare of anxiety?
Okay. So, first of all, Jenny is her name?
Chandni.
Chandni,
yeah.
You are not alone, honey. Many people are suffering from anxiety. I've been in anxiety recovery for 11 years. And anxiety is really the dream adding up and adding up and adding up to a place where you believe that dream is real. And it's a perception of your life that is based on fear and rooted in fear. And so the way that we can move out of that place of anxiety is through subtly, every moment, subtly choosing again, subtly choosing to shift our perception, subtly choosing to see with more grace. I have a lot of meditations and prayers throughout this book. And the prayers are very activating as it relates to clearing anxiety, because if you find yourself in that anxious state, what makes you more anxious? Thinking about the anxiety. So when you say a prayer, it's almost like you put this beautiful intervention in between your thoughts, and you say, thank you for removing this from me. Thank you for helping me see this differently. And then the meditations ground you through breath, through mantra, and a simple practice that I want to share with you all today. It's a meditation in the book, which is a mantra-based meditation, which is very powerful for anyone suffering with anxiety. And it's using the mantra Sat Nam. It's a Kundalini mantra, Sat Nam, and the mantra means truth is my name. And you repeat this mantra in a 5-minute meditation, just breathing long and deep, breathing in, Sat Nam, Sat Nam.
Do you want to show us?
Yeah,
Let's do it live, guys. So wherever you are,
there's actually like another level. We can take it to the next level. You can find your pulse.
Yeah.
So place your forefingers on your pulse.
Guys, I hope you're all doing this at home. So we're going to be guided in a short meditation by Gabby right now. So I want you to do this.
Find your pulse, and some people might be like, I can't find my pulse, but you're alive, so your pulse is there. Yeah. Find your pulse, and then close your eyes, gently close your eyes. And start to take a deep breath in, connecting to your pulse, breathing in and releasing. You may not have had a deep breath all day, so take a moment, breathing in and releasing, breathing in and releasing. And now begin to practice the mantra with your pulse. So as the pulse comes, you say Sat. As it releases, you say Nam. Each beat is Sat, Nam, Sat, Nam, Sat, Nam. And you're saying it with your pulse. Good for you. There you go.
Sat, Nam.
Here he's doing it.
Sat Nam.
And we'll do 10 more seconds. Sat Nam. You can say it out loud, you can think it to yourself, whatever's right for you. And continue to breathe long and deep as you connect to that mantra. And then just take a deep breath in and release. And when you're ready, open your eyes. I feel like something mellow happened here even in 10 seconds. Yeah.
Definitely.
Well, here's the thing. I felt the energy shift, and that was a 10-second meditation. So the point is that if you're having anxiety or you're struggling or suffering in any way, the meditation can reorganize everything within minutes. The beauty of a mantra-based meditation for people who suffer from anxiety is that you can return to the mantra anytime. So if you're in that fear, in that story, in that chaos, you just return to the mantra, return to the mantra. Your monkey mind goes over here, come back to the mantra. Absolutely. And it's okay if you think all these crazy thoughts, just come back to the mantra.
Gabby, I don't know if you know, but I absolutely love meditation. I lived as a monk for 3 years.
I didn't know.
So I spent a lot of time meditating, and it's been a huge, huge part of my practice. So whenever I have a guest that wants to share their meditation practice with people, I want to amplify
Let's do it again. We have to do it. Let's do like a big, massive meditation.
Yeah, let's make it happen.
I'm in. Yeah. That's my goal really, is to gather people, gather the collective consciousness, get the critical mass meditating together.
Exactly. I did a session in Twickenham Rugby Stadium, which is a huge stadium in England where I'm from, with about 10,000 people a few years ago. But it would be, how amazing would it be to do 1 million people online and physical meditation? We should make it happen. Yeah, it would be absolutely amazing. So Gabby, I want to go back to talking about this book. So if you're just tuning in with us right now, I'm talking to Gabby Bernstein about The Universe Has Your Back. You can pre-order it right now. It will be available on the 27th
Tuesday.
of September, which
4
is
days
not far
away.
at all. It's 4 days away.
Available. It's out.
It's out there, transforming fear to faith. And I wanted to talk to you a bit about this because I think that you talk about in the book, and you talk about being 16, feeling depressed, not really knowing what's going on. And I was thinking, whether someone's 16, 26, 36, the viewers, whichever age they're at, what's your advice for them? Where do they start? What do they do first?
Yeah, the first step, and I talk about this early in the book, is just witnessing your resistance. Witnessing the ways that you get taken out, witnessing the fear-based stories, thoughts, patterns, and belief systems that you've been holding on to for your lifetime. And as you become this non-judgmental witness of those stories, you start to have this shift even in that, because you can see the story as something separate from who you are. And that's the first step. If we're not willing to witness our resistance and witness our fear, then we actually can't begin to unfold the path of healing. And then the book continues on to give you lessons and tools on how to transform those fears. And the subtitle of the book is Transform Fear to Faith. So that's really all of these lessons are about looking at that fear and then offering it up for a complete transformation. So the first step, you can have the book on Tuesday, which can take you through all this entire journey of unlearning that fear. But the first step is maybe in the next 4 days while you're waiting for the book to just witness your fear. Just maybe make a note, take an inventory, look at the ways that you're resisting joy in your life.
Amazing. So I was looking through the book, and I love how there's all these universal lessons dotted all over the place. I took out a few that I really liked, so I wanted to ask you about them. So one of them was look for love in all the right places.
Yeah.
And I was just thinking, could you expand on the audience for that? Because I guess we're love seekers.
Yeah.
But you're saying look for love in the right places.
Well, we're actually fault finders, really. I mean, we're naturally, our core, we're love seekers. That's who we are. That's what we long for. But the programming and the conditioning of the world that we live in is just the fault finders. I mean, we've become into this way of just looking for problems, looking for issues, but not thinking like if something good happens, thinking it's too good to be true. Does that happen to you?
Yeah,
like
definitely.
It's too good to be true. Or right now, there's so much great energy around this book, and I've got this little story in the back of my mind, like, is something going to go wrong? No, it's all good, right?
Yeah.
So this is a perfect lesson for me right now. Thank you for teaching me from my book, which is just to look for the love. Like, right now in this moment, if there's a fear that, something's going to, go wrong because everything's so good, I can be like, no, right now in this moment, I'm on HuffPost Live and I'm having a blast, right? So it's like, that's an example of looking for love and just staying in the flow of what's working. And staying in the flow of what's thriving in your life. And appreciation is a fantastic way to look for love, right? My husband and I sometimes will sit together and we'll maybe be in a funky place and I'll say, let's play the appreciation game. And I'll say, I appreciate you because you're so smart. And he'll say, I appreciate you because you're such a good cook. And this is looking for love. And in 3 minutes of the appreciation game, we're like all cuddled and loving each other and back into it.
Does he appreciate the appreciation game?
He loves the appreciation game because who doesn't want to be appreciated?
Definitely.
Who doesn't want to hear their wife say, I appreciate you because you're amazing? And these girls are like, that sounds good. Right? Doesn't that sound good?
Awesome, brilliant. So guys, try out the appreciation game at home as well. Try it out with a friend. Don't scare anyone though, but definitely take a look at how gratitude can change your life. Expressing gratitude, feeling it back, that reciprocal process that we can all experience. So people around you that are feeling negative energy.
Yeah.
Right? So we're saying that look for the love, look for the seeking, but a lot of people, and I see a lot of people say this, and whether it's true or not, I'd love to hear your view. But we feel that in the workplace there's a lot of negativity. We feel when we're on the street or in the subway there's negativity. Everyone feels that they're surrounded by the media negativity. Yeah. So how can we find love when actually all we're seeing ourselves is negativity?
So 50,000 words on this topic. I'm kidding you. I think that's why I said that this, people keep asking me, why is this book different than your other 4 books? And I'm like, because this is the most timely. It's the most timely. It's the book that we need the most. Because to your point, we're walking around and all we see is fear and chaos right now. I mean, what we see going on with the riots, what we see going on with the bombs in our city and, the terror in the world and the refugees. And one day after the next, there's another story that, for lack of a better word, trumps the next one, right? And and
took me a moment to
it's extraordinarily overwhelming, and even if you're sort of apathetic to the news, your nervous system is picking it up. It's in the ether, and so our practices have to be completely aligned. I believe really truly that if we're functioning in this time without a spiritual path, we'll feel like we're a fish out of water. We'll feel like we're flailing. And so you may not identify as spiritual, but you may just want to feel free. So call it whatever you want. But the simplicity right now is just to say, I'm open to feeling more freedom. And that's a prayer. Just that opens an invisible door and opens up your willingness and your consciousness to start to let the natural guidance unfold. And it's likely that if you are feeling those struggles and that suffering and you've been wanting to feel better, that's what guided you to watch us today. And so that's sort of the flow of the universe. It's like once you open up and say, I want to feel better, I want to have a greater awareness, or I want to feel more synchronicity, and I want to see my desires come into form, right? Then that desire, that commitment, that choice starts to lead you to the next right action that will guide you to start to unfold that behavior in your own life. So if you're watching us today, you likely unconsciously prayed to be here.
That's amazing, and it's so strange. Well, not strange, it's the universe, but it's so funny because the next point I was about to make is that the next universal lesson I love from your book is you're always being guided even when it doesn't feel like it.
That's exactly right.
Yeah, so...
Well, perfect timing.
Yeah, it's perfect timing, yeah.
We are being guided. Yes, exactly. That's exactly right. So there's a whole chapter in the book about how obstacles are opportunities, right? And how we can see obstacles as detours in the right direction. And so even when we don't think we're being guided, even when it feels like something's going wrong, that's actually a detour in the right direction, particularly when you're in tune with the frequency of joy. When you are in tune with joy, when you're looking for love, when you're practicing these principles, when you're leaning in through meditation or prayer and deepening your faith with these types of small, simple shifts, you start to just live in a way where you feel like even the tough stuff is perfect. Even the difficult circumstances are exactly as they need to be. And that happiness and that experience is a choice that we're going to make, right? So we have to choose to perceive these difficult times as an opportunity to grow. On that point, even in these difficult times that we're living in the world, one way we can look at this is that while there's so much trauma, there's also a tremendous awakening.
Definitely.
That we're here talking about this right now.
Exactly. And it's giving us that opportunity, like you're saying, to have these conversations and people actually wake up and listen to them and take them seriously.
Yeah.
So Jules, Ava's actually asking a great question. She said, do you think the media makes us fearful? Do you watch the news?
I do watch the news, and my question, do you think the media makes us, of course the media makes us fearful. I mean, the media thrives on fear, and God bless them, it's their jobs, but it's like the more bloody the better often, and I feel terrible for people who work in that type of hard news media. I can't imagine waking up every day having to just deliver that kind of content and be that messenger. So yes, there's the media is not helping us feel more safe, that's for sure. Do I watch the news? Absolutely, but I watch the news with a lens of protection, and I will do my best to not necessarily engage too much before I go to bed, or it's not the first thing I'll engage in the morning. But I watch the news because I cannot be apathetic to what's going on in these times. As a spiritual activist, I got to be very aware of what's up so that I can do my part, which is to help people see things differently. And so I can't just be walking around being like, no, just pray and meditate. That's not it, right? We have to be aware and conscious, and then bring our higher consciousness to what's happening in the world.
Amazing. I'm really interested by that in terms of how we consciously and purposefully use media. Use technology. So there is that apathy or that avoidance of certain things because we feel, oh no, it will affect us negatively. But it's just that we haven't switched or made that conscious effort to say, actually, if I start looking at this purposefully, actually, if I approach this with a conscious perspective of, like what you're saying, you're looking at the news, but you're thinking, okay, that's empowering me to actually go and make a change. That's
absolutely.
very different to just watching the news and let it kind of flow in and take it in.
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, I think that we can't let ourselves get overcome by the news, and I see a lot of people feeling like they can't, they're waking up in the morning and it's just an instant trigger to go into, and it's horrifying. But at the same time, we can't be apathetic to it. So what are we bringing to that experience? That's really the question. And do you have boundaries and rules about how you intake media? And in my case, I have only certain outlets that I follow, and I am sort of mindful about the times of day. And then I, with that consciousness and awareness of what's happening, will bring my spiritual practice to it.
Absolutely, and I think that conscious practice makes so much sense. Actually curating your feed, not just being tuned into absolutely everything, at times. It's really practical. So I hope you guys are enjoying this conversation. I'm going to put Gabby through what you expect, which is our on-the-spot quickfire round in a few moments, which she didn't know about, but I'm sure she's going to do extremely well. So we are going to go into that zone right now. Gabby, we're going to go into this section. It's just some on-the-spot questions where we just get to see you spontaneous, which I'm sure is very natural to you anyway. So I'm going to ask you to react in one word to the following, right? Meeting Oprah.
OMG.
Awesome, nice.
Is that
that's
a word?
fine. Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. Going through or overcoming depression.
It's 2 words. Thank God.
Okay, awesome, beautiful. Becoming a New York Times bestseller.
Woohoo!
On starting this new book.
Grace.
On finishing this new book.
Gratitude.
Wonderful, beautiful. She's doing well so far, guys, right? So anytime she says anything that you love, like anything, like and love. So next question, what is the best part of being Gabby?
1 word?
Yes. No.
Oh.
You tell me. No, not 1 word.
What's the best part is that I have this privilege of witnessing people's transformation every single day. It is so deeply moving to see people in their transformation. And whether it be somebody on a Facebook page saying, I read Spirit Junkie and now I'm sober, or someone coming up to me to lecture and saying, this shift changed me forever. And I don't take credit for it. I look at people and I say, you changed my life. I didn't change your life. You did it. I just told you a story. I gave you a lesson. You did it.
Yeah. Amazing. And on that point, how can others also feel that? Globally and locally. So how can others people feel that what you're feeling?
That's a fantastic question. So the last chapter of this book is be a messenger for the light, right? It's about being an extension of your own message. And so as you go through this journey of this book, you're going to have your own inner revolution. And you will be awakened. You will be, I promise you. That is the promise of this book. And you will experience radical transformation in your life. And so when we have that gift of tuning in deeply and deepening our relationship to a spiritual connection of our own understanding, our life begins to expand. But with that, we can't keep that to ourselves. My prayer and my hope is that my readers take their transformation and that they give it away. And so the whole last chapter of the book is to start to ask the universe, how would you use me? And to become a messenger, and to have that experience that I have daily, which is knowing and being the witness of other people's transformation.
Absolutely amazing. Try that out. So we're going to go back into the on-the-spot quickfire round with Gabby. I veered off there for a moment because I really thought it was important for everyone to hear that. So I'm glad we did that. But so here we go. If you weren't doing what you do now, what would you be doing?
Oh my God, it's so hard to think. I can't even contemplate what I would do.
That answer's fine.
I don't know. Honestly, there's nothing. This is what I was born to do.
Yeah.
There's a beautiful Joan of Arc quote. I am not afraid I was born to do this. That's my mantra.
Amazing. Okay. What advice would you give to the following? So I'm going to name a load of people. I want to see what advice you'd give them. If you could sit with them like this over coffee. Here we go.
Yesterday I was asked what advice I would give Trump. Are you going to ask me that?
Yeah, that's number one on my list.
I got it.
Donald Trump, go for it. Practiced answer. This is better.
So yeah, no, I got serious about this yesterday. For Trump, what's up for me most is that he is the embodiment of separation and the embodiment of attack and judgment, and which is quite the opposite of being on a spiritual path. It's the exact opposite. And being on a spiritual path is about choosing to see oneness in all, no matter what, and practicing forgiveness and releasing judgment and releasing attack. And this could make me cry, but this, God bless this unwell being who is so caught in the dream. And so my prayer for you, Donald Trump, I've had many a moment looking at you. My prayer for you, Donald Trump, would be to have an opportunity to experience the delight and the joy of what oneness truly is. And if you can have that in your life, if you could feel that feeling in your life, then my prayer would be that your division and your separation and your attack would dissolve with that boundary, and that those boundaries could be dissolved through that oneness and that love.
Amazing affirmation and prayer. Yeah. Thank you.
And you see, I'm choosing not to be angry because I don't think that we can fight anger with more anger.
Completely.
I think we have to show up and pray.
Yeah, definitely. Old Martin Luther King quote, you can't fight hate with hate, it just won't work. Definitely. Thank you so much. So next person on the list was actually Hillary Clinton.
So Hillary, my prayer for Hillary is that she would just drop in. It's like I'm with her. I'm 100% with her. And I've forgiven her, and I believe in her, and I know she can do it. I just want to see her drop in. I want to see her get real, get authentic, get honest, because what we long for most right now in these times is that sense of connection and that sense of authenticity, and that's unfortunately what Trump has going for him. It's like he's insane, and he's showing that his insanity, and it's definitely. Like in that truth, people are identifying themselves,
Sure.
And so we just need to see more of her truth, and we need to see more of, and I don't even know that I would call him truth, but he's owning who he is, right? And I would like to see more of that from her. I'd like to see her drop in fully, speak from her heart. You see it sometimes when she's with smaller groups, that there's less of a yelling and more of a speaking.
Yeah.
And that's what people need to feel like they can be held and supported by someone as a leader.
Amazing. What advice would you give to your younger self?
I would say hang in there, it's going to be okay.
Nice. I'm sure many people would like to be able to say that as well.
Yeah.
And definitely say that in hindsight.
Yeah.
Awesome. The best advice you've ever received?
Change the way you look at things, and the things you look at change. My mentor, Dr. Wayne Dyer, said that.
Wonderful. And the best advice you've ever given?
Change the way you look at things, and the things you look at change.
Beautiful. The worst advice you've ever received?
You know, I can't even really remember any bad advice because I probably didn't even hear it.
Yeah, sure.
You know, I maybe just
nice.
didn't even, like, I wouldn't have heard it.
Yeah.
Not long enough to remember it.
What about the worst advice you've ever given?
You know, a friend of mine, I once told her not to go to graduate school because I felt like, you know, she could just go out and just do it right away.
Mm-hmm.
But I said that sort of from an uneducated place, and it turned out that, like, the training that she got was the most profound training she could ever receive, and she's now doing beautiful work in the world. Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And this one, advice that took time to make sense.
Advice that I received,
yeah,
that took time to make sense. Ooh, what a good question. You know, I think that lately I've been sort of accepting something that I've always heard over and over again, which is sort of, you know, that you know, you can speed up by slowing down, which is, you know, sort of age-old spiritual belief systems. Like, you know, the more you tune in, the more happens around you. And I've always preached that and known that,
mm-hmm.
but I'm really slowing down enough now to believe it and
amazing.
See it. Yeah.
Yeah, amazing. Because I think it's so important that everyone hears inspirational statements, we hear insight, we hear wisdom, but it takes so much time for that gravity of that statement to almost sink into our hearts and our beings. And it's okay to know that it takes time.
I love that you say this, because it's a practice, and it's a path, and it's a commitment, and to your point, you can have this daily path, daily commitment, read spiritual books, practice meditation, watch people like yourself, and be part of this conversation in your own unique ways. And then there may be that moment in time where you wake up and you're like, there it is. You know, I get that thing that everyone's been talking about. I get that mantra that I've been preaching, and it drops in.
Amazing. And final few questions on our quickfire on the spot round, which has not been very quickfire or on the spot, but it's been beautiful, so I'm happy with that. So true or false? I as Gabby, never feel nervous.
I don't often feel nervous.
Okay.
So it's not totally true and it's not totally false.
Okay.
But I do sometimes feel it.
Nice. True or false? Meditation works for everyone.
True, man.
Nice. I like that, because there's a lot of people saying that actually, oh, I'm not sure, you know, people kind of tiptoe around that subject. And
I mean, it's like anything. It's not going to work for you if you don't believe in it, right?
Yeah, sure.
But if you're open, it will work for you.
Okay, awesome. And finally, what impresses you most about someone?
Authenticity.
Love it. And how does one express or excavate or bring out that authenticity? What does it take?
You release the blocks to the presence of the authenticity. It's not something you have to go get. It's something you have to clear and chip away at so that it can be unraveled and unveiled.
Ava's got a great question here. She says, how long in your experience does it take to start to shift things?
Oh, it can happen right away, yeah. I think that you can experience a miracle and a shift within a minute. You could open a book and within the first sentence have a shift and have a miracle. The work isn't necessarily about, you know, having it take long. Though some healing does require time, but truly it's about adding up the small miracles, those moment-to-moment shifts.
Awesome, beautiful. And Cheryl says, what is Gabby's biggest fear?
Good question. You know, I think that I don't even want to say them out loud.
Yeah.
How about that?
Cool. Absolutely fine with me.
Yeah, because I don't want to bring energy to it.
Yeah, sure.
You
I
know?
like that. Can you expand on that then?
Well, here's the deal. We all have fears.
Mm-hmm.
No matter how committed to love we are, no matter how deeply connected we are to our own spiritual practice and to God and to the universe, we will always have fear. You know, unless we somehow become enlightened, which is possible. But we will live with fear, and it's not that the fear goes away completely as a spiritual student. It's just that you don't believe in it anymore. So when you ask me to share my fears, it's like talking about something that it's like not true for me. So of course there's fear, and they pop up, and they're, you know, it's present, but it's not real for me. So it feels like I'm doing the world a disservice to say it out loud.
Sure, beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. And this question is all around. So we've been talking a lot about ourselves. How do we deal with friends, loved ones who are going through the same challenges that we've been discussing? Mm-hmm. Fears, anxiety, nervous, not living their purpose, you know, all of that. What about if it's the people around us that are really struggling?
So be the light, right? So I think a lot of people want to change the people around them. They want to say, you know, read this book or watch this video or do this meditation, and that doesn't work. Mm-hmm. You have to. The only requirement for membership as a spiritual student is the desire, is the wanting. And so if somebody doesn't want that, then you're going to be, you know, a broken record. So be the light. Practice your own transformation. Get grounded in your own spiritual healing and live it. And in the expression of your light, you will reflect that onto others. And they will recognize their own light in yours. So you have a much more, a much higher likelihood of elevating somebody and healing somebody by just being the presence of that light, being that presence of that transformation.
And how does that happen when you see that a lot of people feel that when they do that, because there's an expectation of a response or acknowledgement or recognition or appreciation, when that light doesn't get it back, you see a lot of people say, well, I tried to do that, but I didn't get anything back. And talk about that for a minute.
There's one thing I want to point out is that when you start to practice these, you crack open this book and you start to practice these principles, you're going to change, and you're going to have this little, you have a little like sexy swagger, and you're going to be lit up, and people are going to be like, what's going on with her? And some people may be like, damn, that's good. Like, he's looking hot. It's working for him. I feel good around this person, and I never did before, whatever. But then there'll be many people that will resist it. Because if there have been folks that you've been, living in this sort of low vibe way and just gossiping and being in that, drinking or whatever it is that you may do with that low vibe, and you start to come up here and they're still here, they're going to be like, why is she up there? I don't want to come back down, right? Sure. And so there's a resistance to that light. So just be aware of that and pray for them and just, honor where they are on their path and send them love through your prayers. Don't be a preacher of it if it's not something they want to hear, and just like I said, be it. And your friends may change. You may lose some friends. You'll gain friends, because as you start to vibrate at a different frequency, you start to attract different people into your life.
Amazing. And Gabby, when I was reading the book, I really felt that you're teaching people how to have a conversation with the universe in this book.
Yeah.
I want you to tell us a bit about how that conversation is similar to human conversation and how it's not similar to it.
Well, it's just like a human conversation, right? It's like if you just talk, but you're not listening, then you're not going to get any information, right? If you're just talking at someone, but you're not listening, you're not going to receive the guidance and the wisdom. And so being in communication with the universe is asking through prayer, and meditation is listening through that meditation practice. So in that experience of asking, offering it up, saying, thank you, universe, for revealing to me what I need to know, you humbly surrender and you receive through that stillness. And so that's a beautiful way to be in dialogue with another human being, is to ask, offer something up, and then sit back and receive. And what a nice way to exchange, right? And so it really is very similar.
I'm going to hand over to Gabby to say, is there anything else you want to leave the audience with? Is there something that we haven't covered, or something that the universe is telling you to say to us? What would you like to share?
I want everyone to know that if there's somebody out there thinking, the universe just doesn't have my back, that's not true. I'm going to bust that myth with this book. I'm going to bust that myth that all that is required of you is a desire to feel better, a desire to feel more freedom and more joy and more synchronicity and more flow in your life. And that desire is all that you need to unfold a new experience. And so my commitment and my conviction is that the universe absolutely does have your back.
Gabby, I've actually absolutely loved speaking to you.
I love it.
I've learned so much from you.
I love it, and I love your enthusiasm. Thank you for reading the book and being so into it.